everyone. Me and my team are going to talk about the hedging in finance. So I'm going to start with the introduction. Hedging is a risk management tool which is used to protect the investors from the losses. Just like an insurance that protects us from the unexpected events, hedging protects the investors and businesses from the sudden change in the price. Hedging is like it is not a profit making one, but it protects us from the risk and ensures the stability. Hello everyone, let's talk about the two types of hedging. First, we have a long hedge. This is for a buyer who is worried for his price that it will go up. For example, Ria wants to buy gold for her wedding and uses hedge to lock a price today. So the graph shows that the price she pays stays the same even the gold price gets more expensive. Next type is short hedge. This is for a seller who is worried for the price of the product that it will go down. For example, a farmer wants to sell wheat and uses hedge to lock in a good selling price before the harvest. So the graph shows that the money he gets is protected even if the wheat price falls in the market. So long hedge protects the buyer and short hedge protects the seller.
Now let's talk about types of hedge based on accuracy. This type of hedge focuses on how accurately the hedge matches the exposure. That is how effectively it offsets the risk. There are two types of hedges. Now first is perfect hedge. Perfect hedge is the one where the gain or loss of the hedge exactly offsets the loss or gain of the underlying asset. It eliminates the risk completely. For example, a company locks both quantity and timing of its raw materials purchase exactly equal to the future contract. Any exchange in market price has zero net effect. Second is imperfect hedge. When the hedge does not completely eliminate the risk due to the mismatch in the timings, quantity, and contract types, some risk called basic risk remains. For example, if the company uses future contracts with a slightly different delivery date or assets, the hedge will reduce but not remove the risk completely.
Now that we know the concept of hedging and its type, let's look at the instruments through which hedging is actually done. First is futures. Futures are standardized contracts traded on exchanges. They allow us to lock in fixed price today for buying or selling an asset at a future date. For example, an airline can lock in fuel prices using futures to avoid sudden hikes. Second, we have options. Now, options are very flexible because they give the right but not the obligation to buy or sell at a certain price. Common strategies includes protective puts, covered calls, or collars. For instance, a protective put works like an insurance. If price falls, your loss are limited. Next is forwards. Now, these are similar to futures but customized and traded over the counter, not on exchanges. They are tailored to the specific needs of the buyer and seller, like two companies fixing an exchange rate for a future transaction. Last is swaps. Now, in swaps, two parties exchange cash flow to manage risks. The most common are interest rate swaps and currency swaps. For example, a company with a loan at a variable interest rate might swap it for a fixed rate to reduce uncertainty. So, to summarize, future, options, forward, and swaps are the main instruments used for hedging.
Okay. So let's take a look at an example. We have a put option. So Meera, she owns 100 shares of HDFC Bank, and all of them are for 1500 rupees. So Meera thinks the price of her shares are going to fall. So she decides to buy a put option. She buys, assuming the lot size is 100, she buys 100 shares pretty much in the contract, and the contract amount is the same as the share price. So if the price falls to 1200, the loss will be capped at 5000 because that's the premium she paid. But if the price rises to 1800, she makes a profit because she already owns the shares, right? So, but at the same time, she has already paid a premium for the put option. So the gain between 1800 and 1500 is 300. So we multiply that with the amount of shares she has, and we get a profit of 30,000. But if we have to subtract the premium that she has paid, so total profit we get is 25,000. So pretty much, if you are getting into the concept of hedging, it's pretty similar to like buying an insurance. It caps losses and it keeps the most of the upside.
In conclusion, hedging is not of maximizing the profit but reducing the risk and ensuring the stability. Both call and short hedgings are used to protect the buyers and sellers from the market fluctuations. And perfect hedge is only in the theory, but in reality, most of them are imperfect hedge and they are effective. So most of the smart investors, they strike the balance between the difference between the cost of the hedge and the level of the risk they are willing to take. So this is how the presentation, and thank you for listening.